Today, dear interlocutors of Logos and Nous, let us descend into the esoteric abyss of intellectual folly, a darkened realm wherein Eric Weinstein, clad in the pseudo-regalia of self-proclaimed genius, parades his unfalsifiable intellectus suprema before the plebeian gaze. Ah, Weinstein, that philosopher king of the digital delusionary diaspora.
Like, not dark web, intellectual dark web people were like, oh, now that Trump is in, he's been like these are schizophrenic thoughts. Okay. They're like, Trump has secretly been talking to us the entire time. And now that he's in, he's going to make all of us cabinet members from the intellectual dark web. I don't know if that's what this clip is about, but I've seen some things from this cringe lord saying that. Holy cringe.
Hope that the U.S. could restart cowboy science, that we could drive a wooden stake through the heart of DEI, which devitalizes us, that we could bring back the great man theory of physics, which is just a belief in the individual rather than the committee, or that something is in the zeitgeist or the Volksgeist.
I could be wrong because I don't do a lot of individual science, obviously, like actual scientific research, not even like reading papers, but like publishing papers. But the way that I've always heard this expressed is that today, like the problems with science, or not the problems with science, but if you want to make big breakthroughs, you're part of like massive teams of people working on things because you have to be so specialized in the research, working in such like grand laboratories, or like with the Large Hadron Collider, and you're working off of these theories that have had so many people all around the world working on them, that the idea that you're having one guy come in and he's like, actually, relativity, whoa, and like blowing everybody's mind, it's just generally not. That just isn't the way that scientific progress happens now. Not because we don't value great men or great individual scientists, it's just really hard for one person to like come through with that breakthrough. That's why so many of the big papers that are published will have like tons of researchers and everything accredited. But I mean, I don't know. Is in the zeitgeist or the Volksgeist.
It could build us the most fantastic weapons we've ever seen, but it's now time to risk it all. The thing that I'm really excited about is the end of the stagnation in theoretical physics. And in particular, I have an entrant in that, which is called geometric unity, which has been completely misunderstood because nobody is actually...
Eric Weinstein, what did he say? Geometric unity? He proposes a theory of everything. Where is his published or publication date? Published date. Eric Weinstein to publish his geometric unity paper on April 1st, 2021. Where did he publish it at?
You've mentioned...
Control F, journal. Okay, that's weird that that's not mentioned at all. Publish. Okay, paper.
You've mentioned to Brian Keating that you may be releasing a geometric unity paper this year or some other form of additional material on the topic. What is your thinking around this? What's the process you're going through now?
Well, it's very
preparing this.
I use April 1st to try to start a tradition, which I hope to use to liberate mankind. The tradition is that at least one day a year, you should be able to say heretical things and not have Jack Dorsey boot you off, or Mark Zuckerberg. Your provost shouldn't call you up and say, what did you say? We need at some level to have a jubilee from centralized control.
One day, do a stream about Swiss politics. The government is made up of all parties, and the most divisive political topics are the interest rates. Of excitement guaranteed. Okay.
And so my hope is that, you know what a tradition is in America? Something a baby boomer did twice.
Impeachment?
That's right, buddy.
Oh, okay, my bad. So he didn't actually publish a paper. He posted it as a YouTube video instead, and then made a website. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
And taking it seriously. And it's going to be hysterical.
I don't know enough anything to fight with or debunk literally anything that's being posted about high-level theoretical physics at all. So I don't know why there's nothing I can do from any of this. So, but thank you for the link.
I've been trying to...
I'm not a science expert, okay? I'm not a science expert, but if you want to make big headway, I think, into any of these scientific fields by proposing a new theory, at the very least, ideally, your theory should be able to explain something or predict something that certain models can't account for, right? Like relativity, I'm trying to think. Relativity was able to make novel predictions that couldn't be explained by classical mechanics, things related to time dilation, things related to, reconciling different speeds and multiple frames of reference. Like relativity made novel predictions that could not be accounted for with the standard, I shouldn't say the standard model actually, with like classical mechanics or whatever. Is there some problem? Is there some novel prediction that Weinstein's theory makes that can't be accounted for with QFT, or that can't be explained, or some problem that it helps to solve? Like,
real audience, random people on the internet. His pseudo paper is not intended for an academic audience at all. Why would he expect to be taken seriously?
Wait, read the first line in his paper. The author is not a physicist and is no longer an active academician, but is an entertainer and host of the Portal podcast. This work of entertainment is a draft of work in progress, which is the property of the author and thus may not be built upon or renamed or profited from without express permission of the author. Okay.
But his disclaimers, the dialogue Eric had been pretending to yearn for suddenly came. Two people from within the Discord server, a mathematician and a physicist, decided to dig into Eric's work. They published a paper discrediting it more than a month before Eric even put out his pretend paper, based on the Oxford video.
Just to be clear, for Eric Weinstein's background, he has a PhD in mathematical physics from Harvard University in 1992. So he is background and credentialed in this, so I don't know why he would say in his paper that he's not a physicist. I don't know. When it just says mathematical physics, I don't know if that means he doesn't do any research, like working on theories or anything. I mean, if you're a PhD, I imagine you did a dissertation, extensions of self-dual Yang-Mills equations across the 8th dimension. So he's a math guy. Yeah, but I think a lot of theoretical physics is probably, like, my guess would be, is very, 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 very math heavy, right? Oh, man.
Eric didn't like this one bit, as it ruined his whole facade, so he began to attack anyone who acknowledged this paper, accusing them of backstabbing him, and then eliminated his critics altogether by cutting the Discord in half, banning many members, and maintaining correspondence only with his remaining acolytes, thereby enacting the precise brand of suppression he falsely accuses academia of doing. You can see just how volatile Eric would get when pressed about this paper by listening to this conversation on Clubhouse. Somebody is asking when Eric will address the criticism head-on, and this is how he decided to handle it.
When we'll hear, like, a debate with you and Theo and Timothy about...
Sorry, who's Theo?
Timothy and Theo, they put out the retort to...
Sorry, who's Theo?
Theo Puglia and Timothy...
I'm not aware of Theo Puglia. Who's Theo Puglia?
Do you know who Timothy Wynn is?
Let's talk about Theo Puglia. Who's Theo Puglia?
He's the co-author from the paper.
Who is he? Yeah, who is he? I don't know.
That wasn't the question, though,
No,
right?
that is the question.
No, the question was...
No, that is the question. No, you're not understanding. Yeah, no, you're not understanding me. I've never heard in the history of physics anybody expecting to be taken seriously as an anonymous critic.
As you can see...
Wait, why would that matter? Wouldn't it just be about the information and the facts and the knowledge, bro? Because if you just want to appeal to the mainstream, if it can't be an anonymous author, then, I mean, bro, what do you, like, where's your paper published? You're literally self-hosting a theory of everything paper. You can't even publish it in a journal? Like, I'm sure he's famous enough to get a journal to publish it. No, like, what's the point? I don't know.
Eric fixates on the identity of Theo Puglia, cutting off the person speaking repeatedly as a way of derailing the conversation. It's irrelevant who Theo is. If there is substance to the criticism, it doesn't matter who is providing it, just like his insistence that it doesn't matter that his grand theory is coming from someone totally outside of academia. Eric should engage with the criticism, especially since the other author is not anonymous. Tim Wynn is a mathematician with a doctorate in gauge theory, the exact same field as Eric, and he is desperately hiding from this fact. Apart from flat out muting the person asking him about this paper, he pulls out every other excuse in the book to run away from it, from pretending it doesn't exist to making up stories about the authors being internet trolls who harassed his family and everything else imaginable.
Behavior.
A sophos by self-appointment, whose every utterance, perfumed with the aroma of scientificus vapor, belies a foundational absence of the one true currency of reason, demonstrable rigor. Herein lies the core of Weinstein's crumbling magnum opus, a theoretical chimera he so audaciously dubs geometric unity. Is this the ultima ratio of a misunderstood genius, or is it instead an opus nullius, a self-aggrandized scribble unmoored from the sacred precepts of the scientific community? We find Weinstein a tragicomic figure, juggling his supposed sapientia divina while standing atop an ivory pedestal constructed from his own delirium tremens. This, my brothers and sisters in cognitive fortitude, is a theater of grandeur delusa. Oh, how the fallacies flourish in the cavernous chambers of Weinstein's psyche! He spins a narrative wherein he alone, like the mythic Prometheus, descends into the underworld of theoretical physics to bring forth a theoria universalis. But alas, does his torch bear fire or smoke? His theory, so grandly baptized and paraded like a golden calf, languishes not in the hallowed halls of peer-reviewed academia, but in the tawdry back alleys of YouTube uploads and vanity websites. Tragoedia ex machina! A paper unpeer-reviewed, unpolished, unproven, yet wielded like the divine scepter of Zeus himself. And lo, Weinstein declares himself an intellectual hereticus, a Galileo of our age, castigated and crucified by the oppressive priesthood of mainstream academia. Friends, Romans fools, this is no heresy, this is hubris. The Scientia Communis, governed by empiricism and ratio suprema, is not a gatekeeper of progress, but a bulwark against charlatanry. The erudition Weinstein so resents is not conspiracy. It is ordo, structure, and the eternal flame of critical interrogation. Yet Weinstein, trapped within his own phrenitis, would sooner label himself a prophet banished than admit to the deficiencies of his opus delusoria. But pray, let us cast our gaze deeper into the catachresis of Weinstein's intellectual posturing. His cries for a return to the great man theory of physics, an invocation of Newton, Einstein, and their solitary brilliance reek of anachronismus grandis. Weinstein's nostalgia for the lone genius battling universal mysteries betrays a profound ignorance of modern scientific praxis. Behold, dear minds, how today's advances, be it the magnum collision of the Large Hadron Collider or the intricate scaffolding of quantum field theory, demand collaboratio multitudinis, a synthesis of many minds orchestrated in harmony. Yet here stands Weinstein, obstinately pounding his chest in the desert of irrelevance, cursing the committee while yearning for his individual apotheosis. It is this precise paranoia glorificata that encapsulates Weinstein's delusion of grandeur. Like the Icarus of intellectual dark web grifters, he ascends toward the sun of theoretical immortality, his wings constructed not from the feathers of academic rigor, but from the wax of performative sophistry. And homi miserum! As the wax melts, Weinstein plummets, shrieking blame at faceless critics and invisible conspirators. Who is Theopolia, he demands? Who is Timothy Nguyen? He fixates not upon their rebuttals, not upon the merit of their critique, but upon their identities. Because in Weinstein's deranged epistemology, critique cannot exist without ad hominem. The tragedy intensifies. Weinstein, so adept at conjuring conspiracy from the ether, does not merely dismiss criticism, he exiles it. Banning dissenters from his discord, silencing voices who dare disturb his pantheon delusa, he manifests the very suppression he attributes to academia. Ecce! Homo contradictor. Weinstein accuses the scientific community of ostracizing revolutionary ideas. Yet when presented with rigorous critique from his mathematical and scientific peers, he flees into the shadows of obfuscation, muting dissenters and spinning tales of harassment. Ah! Dear spectators of this commedia absurda, there exists a kernel of cosmic irony in Weinstein's plight. He rails against the tyranny of centralized control, yearning for a jubilee of intellectual liberation, yet his own theory of everything exists as an autocratic edifice, protected not by merit, but by Weinstein's imperious decree that none shall critique, build upon, or profit from his work without his express consent. What sorcery of contradiction is this? Weinstein hath spun a web wherein he is the gatekeeper of knowledge, and yet the world must kneel before his unexamined prophetia. And destiny, the cyber-dialectical gladiator Magnus, delivers the coup de grace. With scalpel-like precision, destiny pierces Weinstein's fog of delusion, illuminating the vacuity at its core. No, Weinstein's theory does not explain what the current models cannot. No! His grand unification does not yield predictions beyond the scope of quantum field theory. Destiny exposes the truth. Weinstein's geometric unity is neither unified nor revolutionary. It is but a labyrinth of linguistic pretension, a monument to the art of saying much and proving little. Weinstein's apologists may cry foul, declaring that the man possesses credentials, a PhD in mathematical physics, a dissertation on self-dual Yang-Mills equations. But a credential is not an argument. Pedigree is not proof. Argumentum ad auctoritum shall win no battles here. Weinstein's reluctance to subject his work to the tribunal of peer review speaks not to the tyranny of academia, but to his own terror of inadequacy. For when his work in progress faces the fire of falsification, the odium scientiae may consume him whole. And so Eric Weinstein, the self-anointed Pontifex Maximus of intellectual dark web obscurantism, remains ensnared in the ruins of his geometric grandeur. He is not the Galileo of our age, but the Narcissus of our moment, transfixed by his own reflection in the pond of YouTube adoration. His opus maxima is not the deliverance of mankind. It is an echo chamber writ large, a siren song to those who wish to replace skepticism with spectacle. Let this serve as a warning to all who wander the digital landscape in search of enlightenment. Beware the false prophets of geometric unity, for their brilliance exists not in the realm of discovery, but in the phantasmata of their own minds. Weinstein is but one such prophet, a man entrapped by his own hubris, retreating into shadows while decrying the light. Destiny's verbal blade hath shattered the illusion. All that remains is a tale of ambition untempered by humility, of genius untempered by proof. Finis coronat opus.